Welcome to the English Boost podcast. What's up? It's your favorite English teacher, Sam, here with an English lesson to help you to stop translating everything from English into your native language in your head, in your mind, in your brain, in your noggin, and to start thinking only in English. It is possible, believe me, no matter what level you're at right now, it's possible to think in English. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to give you 9 tips that will help you on your journey to thinking just like a native English speaker. So if this is interesting to you, then keep watching. The problem with translating everything into your native language. Well, if you're in a conversation or some situation where you need to really process information quickly and be able to respond rapidly in an appropriate, timely manner, then you really don't have time to translate. Even if you're super smart, which I know you are, and you're really good at English, which I know you are, it still takes time to process all the information you're getting in English into your native language, and then think in your native language, okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to respond? And then translate that back into English. It's a lot of work for your brain to do. And no matter how awesomely intelligent you are, it's going to take too long in a native speed, kind of fast back and forth conversation. So if you are in a social situation, if you're in a meeting at work, if you are at a presentation and you want to ask questions, you really need to be able to think in English. So the problem started with the way that we learn foreign languages. This happened to me when I was learning Spanish in the classroom. How did we learn? We learn through translating. With Spanish, I learned that 1 is uno and 2 is dos, and let's see, coffee is café, and so on. So, of course, it's easy and it makes sense to begin this way because we know vocabulary in our native language. But it actually is hurting us once we get into conversational English, or in my case, conversational Spanish. So when I left the classroom, when I left my Spanish classroom, and I tried to have a conversation with native Spanish speakers, I was like in total shock. My jaw hit the ground because I couldn't understand anything, and I definitely couldn't respond because I was trying to just identify a few words that I could recognize, that I could hear, that I could listen to, that I could comprehend, and then translate those into English and then think in English to translate back into Spanish. And I was a wreck. So I don't want that to happen to you. Maybe you know how that feels already. Let me give you some suggestions to get you started thinking in English. First, let's start small. Understanding everything in English and being able to respond in English is like a big meal. It's a lot of food to digest, right? So let's start by taking small bites and digest thoroughly. So start by doing small daily activities in English. So, for example, every day I take my dog for a walk, or sometimes we go for a run. So sometimes I talk to him, usually in English, but sometimes, just to really confuse him, I talk to him in Spanish. And instead of saying, come, let's go, I'll say, ven, vámonos, right? So you could do this in English, maybe if you have a pet, or if you don't have a pet, there's other ways to, I bet you have a phone. If you have a smartphone, you could set that in English so that every time you open up your phone, there's English vocabulary for you to work with. This is an example of an everyday activity, probably multiple times a day. You're looking at your phone that you could do in English. And maybe there's other things that you can think of too. So what are some other suggestions of small daily activities that you could do in English? Comment, let me know what you think. Okay, next, listen to more English. This doesn't even have to take up more of your time. You can give yourself an immersive experience in English no matter where you are. Open up your laptop or your smartphone and download some podcasts in English, or listen to internet radio, or put on a video on YouTube or on Netflix in English and play it in the background while you're doing other work that doesn't require intense focus. I love doing this when I'm just doing housework or like organizing stuff around my room or my office or whatever. I will listen to music in other languages because I love learning the lyrics to songs in Spanish or in Portuguese or in other languages that I want to learn. So most recently, I was listening in Spanish to this song called Llorarás, which means you will cry. It's kind of a sad song, actually. But I love to actually sing that song when I'm just, doing house chores or walking my dog. I'll just be like, llorarás, llorarás. So I'm not a great singer, so I'm going to stop. But just to give you an example, that is what I love doing, and I might even mix in some salsa dance moves while I'm singing. 8. Just start thinking in English with a mantra or a motto or some phrase that just gets you started like on autopilot, automatically. So my phrase might be, I am improving my English every day. And I would say that in English out loud to myself or just think it. Okay? If I'm learning Portuguese, I might say to myself, Bom dia, cada dia estou melhorando meu português. Yes, okay, like with emotion is really important. Really, really important. Even if I look crazy, it doesn't matter. It does help you and it lifts your spirits and it gives you energy to improve your language skills. Finally, number 9, our last tip to help you think in English is to just do a little bit each day. So don't force yourself to think in English all day, every day from the get-go or from the beginning. Just start with 30 seconds. I'm sure that you can think in English for 30 seconds. You could set an alarm maybe every day at 9 a.m. You're going to think in English for 30 seconds. So you're on your phone, put an alarm for 9 a.m. and you can title it Think in English and then set your timer for 30 seconds and just think in English. No matter how simple or how silly it is, you can just say hello to yourself over and over and over for 30 seconds if that's the best you can do. I know you can do better, I know, but it's just an example that it doesn't matter how complicated your English is when you train to think in English. What does matter is that you start and that you are consistent. So do a little bit each day, and you're going to be thinking in English all day long in no time. If you love these suggestions, let me know in the comments. Share this video with your friends who are learning English, or maybe your friends who are learning other languages, because these tips totally apply to any language you are learning. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to English Boost here on YouTube.